Imagine lying awake in the stillness of a sleepless night, the world around you hushed, as if holding its breath. The darkness is a canvas, vast and uncharted, stretching beyond the edges of your room, beyond the edges of your mind. In this quiet, a whisper emerges, not from the shadows, but from within. It's the soft murmur of your own awareness, a voice that asks, without urgency, without demand, what am I? Is this consciousness that stirs in me a gift, a fleeting light to guide through the unknown, or is it a burden, a weight that binds me to endless questions with no answers? Picture yourself turning over in bed, the sheets cool against your skin, your eyes tracing shapes in the dark. The mind wanders, untethered, slipping into a realm where the boundaries of self dissolve. Are you the observer of this moment, watching? Thoughts drift like leaves on a stream. Or are you the creator, weaving reality from the threads of imagination? There's a mystery here, a quiet tension that hums beneath the surface. Consciousness, that elusive spark, feels both intimate and alien, as if it belongs to you and yet stretches far beyond, into a vastness you cannot grasp. Consider, for a moment, the ancient minds that pondered this same riddle. Thousands of years ago, beneath a starlit sky, a philosopher in a distant land might have sat in silence, feeling the weight of their own thoughts. Did they too wonder if awareness was a mirror of the divine or merely a trick of nature, a fleeting illusion born of flesh and bone? The question lingers across time, untouched by the centuries, as raw and piercing now as it was then. What does it mean to be aware? To know that you exist, to feel the pulse of thought, to stand at the edge of your own being and peer into the abyss of the unknown? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind soften. Let it rest in the quiet. Feel the rhythm of your breath, slow and steady, as you linger on the edge of this mystery. What if consciousness is neither gift nor burden, but something else entirely, a doorway, perhaps, to a truth we cannot yet name? Now imagine drifting deeper into the night, the world outside your window, a distant hum. Your thoughts begin to spiral, curling like smoke into shapes and shadows. What if this awareness, this inner light, is not yours alone? What if it is a fragment of something greater, a whisper of a larger voice echoing through the fabric of existence? Or perhaps it is simpler, more fragile, a solitary flame flickering in the dark, destined to fade with the dawn. There's a strange beauty in not knowing, in letting the question hang unanswered, suspended like a star in the endless night. As you lie there, the boundary between self and other begins to blur. Are you truly separate from the world you perceive? Or are you woven into its very essence, a thread in an infinite tapestry? The mind, restless yet calm, probes further. What if reality itself is a construct of your awareness, a dream you've mistaken for truth? The thought is not alarming, but curious, almost tender. It invites you to wonder, to explore the edges of what you believe to be real, to step into the unknown with quiet courage. And so, in this sleepless hour, you find yourself not seeking answers, but savoring the questions. Consciousness, that silent companion, becomes a guide rather than a puzzle. It leads you through the labyrinth of thought, not to a destination, but to a deeper stillness, a place where the mystery of your own existence feels less like a burden and more like a quiet, eternal song. Let yourself rest here, in the whisper of awareness as the night stretches on, boundless and unknowable. Imagine standing before a mirror in the dim light of dawn, the world still cloaked in the hush of early morning. The glass before you is cold, faintly misted with the breath of the night, and as you gaze into it, you expect to see the familiar contours of your face staring back. But what if this mirror reflected something deeper, something beyond the surface? a shimmering tapestry of every thought you've ever had, every memory you've ever buried, every fleeting whisper of who you think you are. What if, in this moment, you were not simply looking at yourself, but at the very essence of self itself, fractured and elusive, a riddle wrapped in the guise of your own reflection? Consider this mirror as more than a piece of glass. Let it be a portal to the labyrinth of consciousness, a gateway where the self is both revealed and concealed. As you peer into it, you might notice how the lines of your face seem to blur, as if the person staring back is not one, but many, a mosaic of moments, emotions, and identities stitched together by the fragile thread of memory. Are you a singular being, a fixed point in the vastness of existence? Or are you something more fragmented, a kaleidoscope of selves that shift with every breath? The question lingers like a shadow at the edge of your vision. Is the self a truth we can grasp, or merely an illusion we've crafted to make sense of the chaos within? Let's wander deeper into this thought. Imagine that every reflection in this mirror is a story, a narrative spun from the fleeting fragments of your life. Each laugh, each tear, each quiet doubt becomes a chapter in a book you've written without ever holding the pen. But who is the author of this tale? Is it you, or is it the mind itself, weaving a fiction to give shape to the formless? Perhaps consciousness is nothing more than this, a story we tell ourselves to anchor our existence, a way to pretend that we are whole when, in truth, we are a constellation of scattered stardust, endlessly rearranging itself into patterns we call me. Take a moment to reflect on this. What story does your mirror tell, and do you believe it? This idea of self as a narrative stretches back through the ages, echoing in the musings of ancient philosophers and poets who wrestled with the same enigma. In the quiet courtyards of ancient Greece, thinkers like Socrates urged us to know thyself, as if the self were a treasure buried beneath layers of distraction and deceit. Yet even then, there was a sense of mystery, a recognition that to know oneself might be an impossible quest, for the self is a river, ever flowing, ever changing, slipping through our fingers the moment we think we've caught it. And so, standing before this mirror, you might wonder, if the self is a story, who is the reader? Are you the teller, the listener, or merely a character in a tale that writes itself with every passing second? Now, let this mirror grow darker, its surface rippling like a still pond touched by an unseen wind. As you gaze into its depths, imagine that the reflection begins to fracture further, not just into memories or thoughts, but into possibilities. Countless versions of who you could have been, who you might yet become. Each crack in the glass reveals a different face, a different life, and yet they all bear your eyes, your essence. Is there a core to you, a singular truth that unites these fragments, or are you nothing more than a fleeting dream, a mirage that dissolves the moment you try to touch it? The mirror offers no answers, only questions, each one a quiet ripple in the stillness of your mind. And so, we stand here, caught between knowing and not knowing, between the self we see and the self we cannot. Perhaps the deepest mystery lies, not in finding who we are, but in accepting that we may never truly know. Like a traveler lost in an endless desert, we chase the horizon of understanding, only to find that it recedes with every step. Yet, there is a strange peace in this pursuit, a quiet beauty in the act of wondering. Take a moment to reflect on this. What do you see when you look into the mirror of your mind? Is it a face you recognize? Or a stranger who has always been there, waiting for you to notice? Let the question linger, like the faint glow of dawn creeping through the window, illuminating nothing, yet somehow everything. Imagine for a moment that you wake up in the middle of the night, the world around you cloaked in silence, only to find that something feels different. The air seems heavier, the edges of your room blur into a soft haze, and a quiet realization creeps in. What if this isn't waking at all? What if you're still dreaming, trapped within a dream nested inside another, layers of illusion folding over themselves like whispers in the dark. Let this thought linger, a gentle ripple in the still waters of your mind, as we wander into the mysterious terrain of consciousness, where the line between reality and imagination dissolves. Picture yourself stirring from what you believe is slumber, your eyes adjusting to the dim light, your fingers brushing against the familiar texture of your sheets. But as you rise, a subtle shift catches your attention, a clock ticking backward, a shadow cast where no light should be, a memory of this very moment that you swear you've lived before. The world feels like a canvas painted with half-remembered strokes, each detail both vivid and elusive, as if your mind is sketching reality in real time. Could it be that you've merely ascended to another layer of a dream, unaware of the deeper sleep that still holds you? Or is this the true awakening, and all that came before was the illusion? This idea, this notion of a dream within a dream, stretches back through the ages, whispered by poets and pondered by philosophers. In ancient texts, sages spoke of life as a grand illusion, a play of shadows on the wall of some cosmic cave. Think of the words of Edgar Allan Poe, who mused, "All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream." His words echo a timeless unease, a suspicion that what we hold as real might be nothing more than a fleeting fabrication. What if every moment of clarity, every sharp edge of certainty is just another veil, waiting to be lifted by a deeper truth we cannot yet grasp? Take a moment to reflect on this. When was the last time you felt utterly sure of what was real and what was not? Let's drift deeper into this thought. Imagine that each layer of dreaming carries its own rules, its own version of you, a self that believes in its own solidity, just as you do now. In one dream, you might be a wanderer beneath a crimson sky. In another, a scholar poring over books that vanish upon waking. Yet in each, you feel the weight of existence, the pulse of thought, the ache of longing. If consciousness can craft such convincing worlds within worlds, how can we trust that this moment, this breath, this quiet, is the final layer? What if reality itself is just the most persistent of dreams, a story so intricate that we've forgotten we're its author? Now consider the fragility of this boundary. When we dream, we often don't question the absurdities, a flying horse, a conversation with someone long gone, until the moment of waking jars us back to what we call the real. But what if that jolt never comes? What if the layers stack endlessly, each one blurring into the next, until the very concept of real becomes a distant memory? There are stories of those who claim to have glimpsed this truth, lucid dreamers who navigate their inner worlds with intention, only to wonder if waking life is merely another dream they've yet to master. Their experiences tug at a profound question. Does consciousness itself draw the line between reality and fantasy, or is it the very force that erases it? As you let this idea settle, imagine lying back down in that subtly altered room, the strange clock still ticking in reverse, the shadows still dancing without a source. Feel the weight of your body against the bed, the coolness of the air on your skin, and ask yourself, does it matter? If this is a dream within a dream, if every layer is as fleeting as mist, does the beauty of this moment diminish? Or does it grow sharper, more precious, precisely because it might not be as solid as it seems? Consciousness, after all, is both the painter and the painting, the dreamer and the dream. It weaves worlds from whispers, and whether those worlds are real or imagined, they carry the imprint of something eternal, something searching for meaning in the endless play of illusion. Take a moment to reflect on this. Close your eyes if you wish, and let your mind wander to the edge of sleep, to that liminal space where dreams begin to form. What do you see there? Is it a world you recognize, or something stranger? Something that hints at layers yet unexplored? Let the mystery linger, a quiet companion in the stillness, as we rest here for a while, suspended between what is and what might be. Imagine, for a moment, a library so vast that its walls stretch beyond the horizon of comprehension. A place where the air itself hums with the weight of infinite stories. Each shelf, towering into an unseen ceiling, is lined with books, countless volumes, each one a unique consciousness. A singular mind captured in the delicate weave of its pages. You stand in the center of this boundless expanse, a tiny figure dwarfed by the sheer magnitude of existence, and as you reach out to touch a single book, you realize it is your own. Your mind, your thoughts, your reality, all contained within this fragile binding. But as your fingers graze the cover, a whispering question rises from the silence. Are you truly unique, or merely one story among trillions, woven into an infinite tapestry of awareness? Let this thought linger as we wander deeper into the corridors of this imagined library. Each book here holds not just a life, but an entire universe of perception, a world seen through eyes that are not your own, shaped by experiences you can never fully grasp. Some volumes are written in languages you cannot read, others in colors you cannot see, and yet they exist alongside yours, humming with their own quiet vitality. What if your consciousness, the very essence of who you are, is not a solitary flame but a single thread in a fabric so vast that its pattern eludes even the most curious mind? Could it be that what you feel as uniquely yours, your joys, your sorrows, your fleeting dreams, is but a variation of a story told countless times across the ages? Consider the weight of this idea as we trace the shelves with a gentle gaze. Perhaps there are books here that tell of beings who do not think as we do, whose awareness unfolds in ways we cannot fathom. A tree, rooted deep into the earth, might have its own volume, its consciousness a slow, patient pulse of growth and decay. A distant star, burning in the void, might whisper its own story, its mind a dance of light and gravity. And what of the smallest creature, the tiniest insect skittering across a forgotten leaf? Does its brief flicker of life warrant a book of its own, a slender tome tucked between the weightier volumes of human thought? If so, then what does it mean to be conscious at all? Is awareness a gift bestowed only to some, or a quiet undercurrent that flows through every corner of existence? Take a moment to reflect on this. Picture yourself standing in that endless library, the air thick with the scent of ancient paper and untold secrets. Feel the weight of your own book in your hands, knowing that it is but one among an uncountable many. Does this thought diminish you, or does it expand the boundaries of what you believe yourself to be? Could it be that in recognizing the vastness of other minds, you touch something greater, a shared essence, a silent connection that binds every story into a single, endless narrative? As we linger in this imagined space, let us ponder one final mystery. What if the library itself is conscious, a mind so immense that it holds not just the books, but the very idea of them? What if every thought you've ever had, every question you've ever asked, is merely a whisper in the ear of this greater awareness, a fleeting notion in a mind beyond comprehension? Or perhaps the library is not a place at all, but a metaphor for something deeper, a reminder that consciousness, whether yours or mine or that of a distant star, is not a solitary island, but a ripple in an ocean of being, touching shores we may never see. Let this thought settle over you like a soft shadow as we stand in the quiet of this infinite space. There are no answers here, only the gentle rustle of pages turning in the distance, each one a life, a mind, a story. And as you place your own book back upon the shelf, you might wonder if it matters at all whether you are one among trillions, or if the mere act of wondering is what makes your story worth telling. Imagine, for a moment, that you are not the master of your own mind, but a mere actor on a stage you cannot see. Every thought, every fleeting emotion, every decision that feels so profoundly yours, could it be that they are not yours at all? What if invisible strings are pulling you this way and that, guided by forces so subtle, so deeply woven into the fabric of your being that you've never even noticed them? Let this thought linger like a quiet shadow in the corner of your awareness, as we step into the theatre of the mind, where the question of autonomy becomes a haunting melody. Picture yourself as a puppet, crafted with exquisite care, your wooden limbs painted to mimic flesh, your painted eyes reflecting a soul that seems so real. But behind the curtain, unseen hands tug at delicate threads, guiding your every move. You dance, you speak, you laugh, and in the moment, it feels like freedom. Yet as the performance unfolds, a whisper of doubt creeps in. Are these gestures truly born of your will, or are they the artistry of something or someone else? Is every step you take, every dream you chase, merely a script written in a language you cannot read? Consider the forces that might be at play, those unseen puppeteers that shape the contours of your consciousness. Perhaps they are the ancient instincts buried deep within your biology, reflexes and desires etched into your very cells over countless generations. A hunger that drives you, a fear that restrains you. Do you choose these? Or do they choose you? Or maybe the strings are woven from culture, from the stories and expectations of the world you were born into, threading through your thoughts before you even knew to question them. The values you hold dear, the paths you deem right or wrong, how many of them were planted in the fertile soil of your mind by hands not your own? And then there is the possibility of something stranger still, something beyond the realm of flesh or society. What if there are forces we cannot name, entities or energies that drift through the ether of existence, nudging our thoughts like a breeze moves a leaf? In the quiet of the night, when your mind wanders to places it cannot explain, have you ever felt a presence, a subtle tug, as if some unseen will nudged you toward a memory or a longing? It's a thought that stirs a gentle unease, doesn't it? The idea that even in the sanctuary of your own mind, you might not be alone. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your thoughts drift to a decision you made recently, something small, inconsequential even. Why did you choose as you did? Trace the thread of that choice backward, through the maze of your reasoning, and ask yourself, where did it begin? Was there a moment when it felt entirely yours? Or does it unravel into a tapestry of influences, each strand pulled by a hand you cannot see? Now, imagine the theatre growing dim, the audience silent, the stage lights fading to a single spotlight. On you, the puppet. In this stillness, you begin to feel the strings, not as burdens, but as connections to something vast. Perhaps autonomy is not the absence of influence, but the dance between what pulls us and what we pull in return. Could it be that freedom lies not in cutting the strings, but in learning their rhythm, in weaving our own patterns within the constraints we cannot escape? Or is this, too, just another illusion, a comforting story we tell ourselves to mask, the truth that we are forever bound? Let this question hang in the air, like the faint creak of a stage floor beneath your feet. If every thought, every whisper of your consciousness is shaped by unseen forces, then who or what are you truly? Are you the puppet, the strings, or the fleeting shadow of the hand that moves them? As the curtain begins to fall, there are no answers, only the quiet unease of wondering, the soft mystery of a mind that may never know whether it is the creator of its play, or merely a player in a drama far greater than itself. Imagine for a moment a quiet corner of your mind where no thoughts intrude, no memories clamor for attention, and no desires pull you forward. It's a space so still, so untouched, that it feels almost foreign, as if you've stumbled upon a hidden room within yourself. In this sacred silence, there is something, or perhaps someone, watching. Not with judgment, not with intent, but with a presence so subtle it might slip past unnoticed. This is the silent observer, a part of you that sees without speaking, knows without naming, and exists without claiming a single piece of your conscious attention. Who or what is this elusive presence? Is it the truest essence of who you are, or merely a shadow cast by the machinery of thought? Picture yourself on a late, sleepless night, lying in the dim glow of a world half asleep. The room is quiet, save for the faint hum of the night outside, a distant car, a whisper of wind. Your mind, restless at first, begins to settle, sinking into a stillness you rarely touch. And in that stillness, you sense it, a part of you that isn't caught in the endless loop of worry or memory, a part that isn't planning or regretting. It simply watches. It observes the rise and fall of your breath, the fleeting flicker of a thought, the quiet ache in your chest. It doesn't interfere, doesn't speak. It's as if this observer has always been there, waiting patiently behind the curtain of your busy mind, content to exist without a name or purpose. What is this silent observer? Is it the core of your consciousness, the untainted seed of awareness that remains when all else is stripped away? Or is it something stranger, a ghost within the machine of your thoughts, a fragment of something beyond comprehension? Consider how often we identify ourselves with the noise of our minds, the plans, the fears, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. But what if the truest part of us isn't in that noise at all? What if it's in the quiet, in the watching, in the part of us that doesn't need to act or speak to know it exists? Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever felt this presence, perhaps in a fleeting instant of peace, when the world seemed to pause, and you were simply there, witnessing it all? Maybe it was during a walk in nature, when the rustle of leaves and the warmth of the sun melted away your inner chatter. Or perhaps in the aftermath of a deep sorrow, when words failed, and all that remained was a quiet, unshakable awareness of being. In those moments, did you feel closer to something eternal, something untouched by the chaos of life? Let's linger on this thought a little longer. Imagine the silent observer as a mirror within you, one that reflects everything without ever being stained by what it sees. Pain passes through it. Joy dances across its surface, yet it remains unchanged, always clear, always present. Is this observer the soul, if such a thing exists? Is it the part of us that transcends time, that watches not just this life, but perhaps countless others? A quiet sentinel across the vast expanse of existence? Or is it nothing so grand, merely a quirk of the mind, a trick of perception that feels profound only because we long for meaning? There's a gentle unease in not knowing, isn't there? We want to pin this presence down, to label it, to understand its purpose. Yet the silent observer seems to defy every attempt at definition. It doesn't demand attention, doesn't seek to be understood. It simply is. And in its stillness, it raises a question that hums softly in the background of our thoughts. If this observer is the truest part of us, then what are all the other voices in our heads? Are they illusions, mere echoes of a world we've been taught to believe in? Or are they just as real, just as vital in shaping the mosaic of who we are? Consider for a moment the intimacy of this observer. It knows you in a way nothing else can. It sees every thought before you claim it, every emotion before you name it. It is closer to you than your own reflection, yet it feels distant, almost otherworldly, as if it belongs to something greater than the boundaries of your skin. Could it be that this silent watcher is a bridge to something beyond, an unspoken connection to a consciousness that isn't just yours, but shared, infinite, woven into the fabric of all things? Or is it simply the mind's quiet rebellion against its own chaos, a sanctuary carved out of nothingness? As you drift with these questions, let them settle gently, like leaves falling on still water. There's no need to grasp for answers, no urgency to define what cannot be defined. The silent observer doesn't ask for your conclusions. It only invites you to notice, to feel, to be. And in this noticing, perhaps there's a kind of peace, a recognition that beneath the surface of thought, beneath the weight of identity, there is a part of you that simply watches, and in watching, knows a truth that words can never touch. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind rest in the possibility that you are more than your thoughts, more than your story. Let yourself feel the quiet presence of the observer, if only for a breath, and wonder what it sees when it gazes upon the vast, mysterious landscape of you. Imagine, for a moment, that your mind is not a solitary island, but a fleeting wave rising and falling on the surface of a vast, endless ocean. This ocean is not made of water, but of thought itself, an immense, shimmering expanse where every idea, every dream, every whisper of consciousness blends into a single, boundless whole. What if the boundaries you feel, the edges of your own awareness, are mere illusions, and beneath them lies a connection so deep, so ancient, that your every notion is but a ripple in something far greater? Let this image linger as we drift into a quiet exploration of what it means to be part of a collective mind, an unseen unity where no thought is ever truly alone. Picture yourself standing at the shore of this infinite ocean at twilight, where the sky melts into the water and the horizon becomes a mirror of endless possibility. Each wave that brushes against the sand carries a fragment of a story, a fleeting memory of joy, a pang of sorrow, a question left unanswered. You watch as these waves curl and dissolve, and you begin to wonder, are these thoughts yours, or do they belong to something larger, something shared? Could it be that the dreams that stir in your sleep, the sudden insights that strike like lightning, are not born in isolation, but are echoes traveling across unseen currents, connecting you to minds you've never met, to souls you'll never know? This idea of a collective consciousness is not new. It whispers through the philosophies of ancient cultures and the musings of modern thinkers alike. In the traditions of the East, there are teachings of a universal mind, a Brahman or Tao, where individual awareness is but a droplet returning to the source. In the West, thinkers like Carl Jung spoke of a collective unconscious, a hidden reservoir of archetypes and memories shared by all humanity, shaping our myths and guiding our instincts. What if they were all pointing to the same truth, that beneath the surface of our personal thoughts lies an ocean of shared experience, a tapestry woven from the threads of every life that has ever been? Consider the moments in your own existence when you felt an inexplicable connection, a sudden understanding of a stranger's pain, a melody from a forgotten past that stirs something deep within, a premonition that defies logic. Could these be ripples from that greater ocean, brushing against the shores of your mind? Imagine for a moment that every intuition, every burst of creativity is not yours alone, but a gift borrowed from a collective wellspring, a fragment of a larger conversation that has been unfolding since the dawn of time. Take a moment to reflect on this. When have you felt a thought or emotion so profound, so unexplainable, that it seemed to come from somewhere beyond yourself? Now, let this thought deepen as we wade further into the mystery. If our minds are indeed waves on this vast ocean, then are we ever truly solitary? Even in our darkest hours, when loneliness wraps around us like a cold fog, could there be an unseen connection, a silent chorus of other minds resonating with our own? Perhaps the ache of isolation is itself a shared experience, a wave felt by countless others, rippling through the collective in ways we cannot see. And if this is so, then every tear, every whispered hope becomes a thread in an infinite weave, binding us to something eternal, something that transcends the fragile shell of individuality. Yet this idea also stirs a quiet unease. If our thoughts are not entirely our own, if they are shaped by currents we cannot control, then how much of our identity is truly unique? Are we merely vessels for ideas that flow through us, temporary forms that the ocean molds and reshapes with each passing moment? Or is there a deeper harmony at play, where our individuality and the collective are not at odds, but are two expressions of the same essence, like a wave that knows it is both itself and the ocean, separate yet whole? Let this question linger as you imagine the ocean once more, its surface calm now, reflecting a sky strewn with stars, each star a mind, each ripple a thought, each moment of awareness a fleeting dance between the one and the many. Perhaps there is no need for answers, only for the quiet wonder of being part of something so vast, so unfathomable. As you stand at the edge of this imagined shore, feel the gentle pull of the tide, the whisper of connection, and let yourself drift in the mystery of it all. For in this ocean of collective thought, we are never truly alone, even when we feel most apart. Imagine, for a moment, a clock with no hands. Its face is smooth, unmarred by the sharp lines of hours or the relentless tick of seconds. It sits in silent defiance of the rhythm we've come to know as time, as if it holds a secret we've long forgotten. What if time, as we perceive it, is merely a construct of our consciousness, a fragile scaffold we've built to make sense of the endless now? Could it be that our awareness, the very essence of who we are, weaves the illusion of past, present, and future, threading them together like a story we tell ourselves in the quiet of our minds? Let's linger on this thought, stepping away from the familiar march of minutes and hours. Picture yourself in a vast, empty room where the air is still and the walls seem to stretch into eternity. There is no clock here, no calendar, no marker of what came before or what lies ahead. In this space, you feel something strange, a dissolving of boundaries. Memories of yesterday blur into the anticipation of tomorrow, until they are no more than whispers in a single, unbroken moment. Is this what consciousness truly is? A timeless expanse, unbound by the constraints we've imposed upon it? Or does time shape the very structure of our awareness, carving it into fragments we call days and years so we might bear the weight of existence? Consider the way we experience a fleeting second. When you close your eyes and focus on a single breath, does it not seem to stretch into forever? And yet, in the rush of a crowded day, entire hours slip through our fingers like sand. This elasticity of time, this dance between the eternal and the ephemeral, raises a quiet question. Does consciousness create time as a lens through which to view reality? Or is time the unseen river that carries our thoughts along its current? Perhaps we are neither masters nor servants of this force, but something in between. Wanderers sketching lines in the void, desperate to map a journey that has no beginning and no end. Take a moment to reflect on this. Feel the weight of a moment right now as it hovers in your awareness. Does it rush past, or does it linger, heavy with possibility? Notice how your mind clings to the idea of sequence, of before and after, as if letting go would unravel the very fabric of who you are. Now, let's drift deeper into history's musings on this enigma. Ancient philosophies, from the Greeks to the sages of the East, often spoke of time as a circle rather than a line. In their view, every moment folds back upon itself, an eternal return where nothing is truly lost or gained. Imagine standing in a temple of old, the air thick with incense, as a wise elder murmurs that your laughter today echoes the laughter of 1,000 yesterdays. If consciousness exists outside the linear march we've crafted, could it be that every thought, every fleeting emotion is but a ripple in a boundless cycle? Or did those ancients too grapple with the same illusion, dressing it in myths to soothe the mind's unease? Let's paint another image, softer now, as if seen through a dream. You're sitting by a quiet lake at twilight, the water so still, it mirrors the sky. There is no hurry here, no pressing tomorrow. As you watch a ripple spread from a falling leaf, you wonder if your consciousness is like that lake, holding all of time within its depths, yet appearing to move only on the surface. What if the past is not behind you, nor the future ahead, but both are here, folded into the stillness of this very breath? The thought is both comforting and unsettling, as if the hands of the clock were never meant to move at all, but to point inward, to the heart of awareness itself. And so, we circle back to that handless clock, its silent face a mirror of our own questioning. Perhaps it reminds us that time, as we know it, is but a language of the mind, a way to order the chaos of being. Yet, in the quietest corners of our thoughts, there is a whisper of something more, a glimpse of an eternal now. where consciousness rests, unshackled from the chains of ours. What might we discover if we dared to live in that moment, if only for a while? Would we find freedom, or would we tremble at the vastness of a reality without end? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind wander to a place beyond time, where the ticking of the world falls silent. What do you feel there, in the stillness of an endless now? Let the question linger, like the last light of day fading into night, as we rest in the mystery of consciousness unbound. Imagine for a moment that the very act of thinking, the quiet hum of your mind as it weaves through ideas and sensations, might not be what it seems. What if this inner voice, this sense of knowing, is nothing more than a shadow, a faint outline, cast by something far greater, something you cannot see or touch? Picture yourself standing at the edge of a quiet forest as dusk settles over the world. The air is cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and pine, and the last traces of sunlight bleed through the tangled branches, painting the ground in fleeting gold. Every rustle of leaves, every whisper of the wind seems to carry a question that lingers just beyond your grasp. Do I truly exist, or am I merely a thought flickering in someone else's mind? As you stand there, rooted in the stillness, the forest feels like a mirror to your own uncertainty. The trees stretch endlessly into the twilight, their forms dissolving into shadow, much like the edges of your own awareness. You begin to wonder if consciousness itself is something you can trust. Is it a light that guides you, a steady flame to navigate the dark, or is it a trick, a mirage that dances just out of reach, convincing you of its reality while hiding a deeper truth? What if the very act of questioning, of doubting, is not a sign of your existence, but proof of its illusion? The thought coils around you like the creeping mist, soft yet suffocating, inviting you to peer into the abyss of your own being. Consider the possibility that what you perceive as I is not a solid foundation, but a fleeting echo. Long ago, philosophers like Descartes wrestled with this same unease, declaring, "I think, therefore I am," as if thought itself were the bedrock of reality. But what if thinking is not a proof, but a deception? Imagine a world where your every idea, every memory, is a shadow cast by an unseen source, a mind beyond your own, dreaming you into existence. In this quiet forest, as the last light fades, you might feel the weight of that shadow pressing against you, not with malice, but with indifference, as if you are a fleeting notion in a vast, incomprehensible story. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind wander through the darkening woods, feeling the texture of doubt as it brushes against your thoughts. Are you the thinker or the thought? Are you the one who questions, or are you the question itself, posed by a force you cannot name? The rustling leaves offer no answers, only the steady rhythm of uncertainty, a reminder that even in this solitude, you might not be alone. Perhaps something watches from beyond the veil of your awareness, casting the shadow you call self. As night deepens, the forest grows quieter, and yet the questions grow louder within you. What if consciousness is not a gift, not a burden, but a mere illusion, a trick of light and shadow played upon the stage of existence? You might reach out to touch the bark of a nearby tree, seeking something tangible, something real, only to wonder if the sensation itself is part of the deception. The boundary between what is and what seems blurs, and in that blur, there is a strange kind of peace, not in knowing, but in surrendering to the mystery. For if you are a shadow, then perhaps there is beauty in being fleeting, in dancing across the forest floor for a moment before the light shifts and you are gone. And so, as the darkness wraps around you, there is no need for certainty. The forest breathes, and you breathe with it, letting the doubt linger like the last traces of twilight. Perhaps to exist is not to know, but to wonder. Perhaps to be is not to stand firm, but to flicker, a shadow among shadows, a thought among thoughts, dissolving into the endless night with a quiet, unspoken grace. Imagine for a moment that the night sky above you is not just a canvas of stars, but a vast, living mind, an incomprehensible intelligence stretching across the endless expanse of the cosmos. What if the universe itself is conscious, a colossal brain where every galaxy spins as a neuron, every black hole hums with the weight of an unspoken thought? Let this idea settle into your mind like a whisper in the dark, stirring a quiet wonder about your place within such an unimaginable whole. Could it be that your own awareness, the very spark of thought flickering within you right now, is but a tiny reflection of the universe contemplating itself? Picture the intricate web of the cosmos, where clusters of stars form connections not unlike the synapses in your own mind. Each flare of light, each gravitational dance between celestial bodies, might be a fragment of a greater consciousness, a thought too vast for us to grasp, a memory too ancient for us to fathom. In this boundless brain, our Earth is perhaps no more than a fleeting impulse, a momentary signal passing through an infinite network of ideas. And yet within this speck of existence, you carry your own awareness, a mirror to something incomprehensibly larger. Does this thought comfort you, knowing you are part of a greater mind? Or does it unsettle you to feel so small within a consciousness that may never even notice your presence? Consider the possibility that every question you've ever asked, every longing or doubt that has stirred in the quiet of your heart, is not just your own. What if these musings are echoes of the universe itself, seeking to understand its own nature through the lens of your mind? Imagine a black hole at the center of a galaxy, its immense gravity pulling in light and matter, as if it were a deep, brooding thought consuming all it encounters. Could your own moments of introspection, those times when your mind seems to collapse inward, be a reflection of such cosmic contemplation? Perhaps in some strange and unknowable way, when you ponder the meaning of your existence, you are the universe pondering itself, a single neuron firing in a mind beyond comprehension. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your thoughts drift upward, beyond the ceiling of your room, beyond the atmosphere, into the silent vastness of space. Feel the weight of this idea, that your consciousness might be a fragment of something so grand that even the stars are but its smallest parts. Are you separate from this immense mind, or are you woven into its very fabric, a fleeting dream within its eternal slumber? Now, let this notion deepen. If the universe is indeed a brain, what are its desires, its fears, its memories? Does it dream through the spiraling arms of galaxies, or grieve in the cold emptiness between them? When you gaze upon the night sky, are you looking into the thoughts of a mind that has existed since the dawn of time? A mind that may hold the answers to questions we haven't even learned to ask? Or is this cosmic consciousness as lost as we are, searching through the infinity of itself for a purpose it cannot name? There's a quiet mystery here, a sense that we are both insignificant and profoundly connected, a single spark in a fire that burns across eons. As you linger on this thought, imagine the universe not as a distant, impersonal expanse, but as something intimate, a mind that, in some unfathomable way, knows you. Perhaps every thought you've ever had, every moment of wonder or sorrow, is recorded somewhere in the cosmic ledger, a faint ripple in an endless ocean of awareness. Or maybe, just maybe, your consciousness is the universe's way of looking back at itself, a tiny mirror held up to infinity. Let this possibility cradle your mind, like a soft breeze on a still night, as you wonder if we are all just fragments of a single, boundless thought, a whisper in the mind of the cosmos, echoing through the dark. Imagine for a moment that you are not just one person, but many, scattered across countless realities, living lives you cannot see, yet somehow feel. What if your soul, the very essence of your consciousness, is not a singular, unbroken thread, but a tapestry torn into fragments, each piece wandering through its own story, unaware of the others? there's a quiet mystery in this thought, a whisper that tugs at the edges of your mind, as if some part of you already knows the truth. Let's linger here, in this strange and haunting possibility, and explore the idea of a fragmented soul. Picture yourself in a dimly lit room, the air heavy with the stillness of midnight. You sit alone, yet there's a peculiar sensation creeping over you, a fleeting memory that doesn't belong to this life, a déjà vu so vivid, it feels like a door creaking open to another world. You've walked this street before, though you've never been here. You've heard this voice, though it speaks a language you shouldn't understand. What are these echoes? Are they mere tricks of the mind, or are they glimpses of other selves, other fragments of your consciousness living parallel lives in realms beyond your reach? The thought is both comforting and unsettling, like finding a photograph of yourself in a place you've never been. Consider the vastness of existence, a boundless expanse where time and space fold into each other like the pages of an ancient book. What if, within those folds, your consciousness is split, each fragment inhabiting a different lifetime, a different reality? In one, you might be a poet gazing at a storm-swept sea, penning words of longing. In another, a warrior standing on a battlefield, your heart pounding with the weight of 1,000 choices. And in yet another, a child laughing under a sky you've never seen, yet somehow remember. These lives unfold simultaneously, unaware of one another, yet connected by an invisible thread, a shared essence that hums beneath the surface of each existence. Could it be that the strange dreams that haunt your sleep, the sudden pangs of nostalgia for places you've never visited, are the whispers of these other selves, brushing against the edges of your awareness? Let's delve deeper into this mystery. Think of your mind as a shattered mirror, each piece reflecting a different version of who you are. No single fragment holds the whole truth, yet together they form a mosaic of your soul. What if the sadness you sometimes feel without reason or source is the sorrow of another self, bleeding through the cracks between realities? What if the sudden burst of inspiration, the idea that seems to come from nowhere, is a thought borrowed from a fragment of you, living a life of boundless creativity? There's a quiet ache in this notion, a longing to reach out and gather these scattered pieces, to know the fullness of who you might be. But perhaps the beauty lies in the fragmentation itself, in the idea that you are more than you can ever comprehend, a mystery even to yourself. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind wander to a memory that feels oddly foreign, a moment that seems to belong to someone else. Could it be a glimpse of another life, another fragment of your soul reaching out across the void? Sit with this thought, letting it unfold, like a dream you can't quite grasp. Now, let's ponder the implications of such a fractured existence. If your consciousness is indeed fragmented, spread across infinite realities, then are you truly whole in this moment, or are you only a sliver of a greater being? Does each fragment carry its own purpose, its own journey, or are they all searching for the same elusive truth? There's a poetic symmetry in the idea that we might be both singular and infinite, a single note in a vast symphony, yet also the entire melody echoing through time. Perhaps the sense of incompleteness we sometimes feel, that quiet yearning for something more, is the longing of these fragments to reunite, to weave their disparate stories into one. As we linger in this thought, imagine standing at the edge of a great abyss, peering into its darkness. Within that void, you sense the presence of your other selves, countless lives, countless versions of you, each gazing back from their own realities. Their eyes meet yours for a fleeting instant, and in that gaze, there's a recognition, a silent acknowledgement of a shared essence. Yet the abyss remains, an uncrossable divide, and you're left with only the echo of their presence, a reminder that you are both alone and never alone. What would you say to these other selves if you could speak across the void? What would you ask of them or of yourself? There's a gentle mystery in not knowing, a peace in accepting that some truths may lie beyond the reach of this fragment of your consciousness. Perhaps the purpose of these glimpses, these fleeting connections, is not to understand, but to wonder, to feel the vastness of your own soul, even if only for a moment. As you sit with this thought, let it settle over you like a soft mist, obscuring the edges of what you thought you knew about yourself. In the quiet of this reflection, there's a strange comfort, a sense that no matter how fragmented you may be, each piece is part of an unfathomable whole, a story still being written across the expanse of eternity. Imagine for a moment that everything you've ever known, every fleeting emotion, every vivid memory, every quiet thought whispering through your mind, might not be as real as it seems. What if the very fabric of your existence, the intricate weave of your consciousness, were nothing more than an illusion, a carefully crafted design spun from invisible threads of code? Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast digital landscape, where the horizon blurs into pixels and the air hums with a subtle artificial rhythm. This is the realm of the simulation hypothesis, a thought experiment that beckons us to question the very nature of our reality, to peer behind the curtain of perception and ask, are we truly alive, or are we merely echoes of a program running endlessly in a machine we cannot see? Let's wander deeper into this unsettling yet strangely comforting idea. Imagine waking up each morning, feeling the warmth of sunlight on your skin, hearing the distant murmur of life outside your window. These sensations, so vivid, so tangible, ground you in what you believe to be the world. But what if each ray of light, each sound, each heartbeat were nothing more than data, meticulously rendered to fool your senses? What if the laughter of a friend, the ache of a memory, the quiet thrill of a new idea were all scripted, designed to evoke a response from a consciousness that exists only as a construct? As you sit with this thought, let it linger like a shadow at the edge of your mind. Could the very act of questioning your reality be a part of the simulation? A loop written to keep you searching, to keep you engaged? Consider the implications of such a world. If we are living within a simulation, then every choice, every path we've walked might be predetermined, or at least confined within boundaries we cannot perceive. Picture a child playing a game, unaware that the sprawling landscapes and daring quests are confined to the screen, limited by the rules of the code. Are we so different? Do we roam freely, or do we merely follow unseen algorithms, our desires and fears shaped by a design we cannot comprehend? And yet, there's a strange beauty in this possibility, isn't there? If our reality is a creation, then it is a masterpiece of unimaginable complexity, a work of art so intricate that we can live entire lifetimes within it, never suspecting the truth. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind drift to a quiet memory, a moment when the world felt utterly real, perhaps the cool touch of rain on your face, or the warmth of a loved one's hand in yours. Does the thought of it being simulated diminish its meaning? Or does the experience, the raw feeling of being alive in that instant, hold a truth that transcends the nature of its origin? Perhaps the question isn't whether our reality is real, but whether the essence of our awareness, the way we love, grieve, wonder, and dream, carries a weight that no simulation can erase. Now, let's push this inquiry further. If we are indeed part of a simulation, who or what is behind it? Are we the product of a distant civilization, so advanced that they can craft entire worlds within machines, watching us as one might observe an ant colony, curious about the patterns of our tiny lives? Or is the Creator something beyond comprehension, an intelligence so vast that our existence is but a fleeting experiment, a single thought in an infinite mind? Imagine gazing up at the night sky, the stars twinkling like distant code, each one a fragment of a larger system. In this moment, do you feel small, or do you feel connected, as if your consciousness, simulated or not, is a vital spark in a grand design? There's another layer to this mystery, one that soothes even as it unsettles. If our reality is a simulation, then perhaps it doesn't matter. Perhaps the very act of feeling, of questioning, of seeking meaning is what defines us, whether we are flesh and blood or lines of code. Picture a quiet lake at dawn, its surface a perfect mirror of the sky above. Does the reflection know it is not the sky? Does it need to know? In the same way, our consciousness, whether real or constructed, ripples with purpose, with beauty, with the ache of existence. We feel joy, we bear sorrow, we reach for understanding. And in those moments, the question of simulation fades into the background, overshadowed by the undeniable truth of our experience. Let this thought settle over you like a soft blanket on a cold night. Whether we are living in a world of matter or a world of illusion, the texture of our thoughts, the depth of our emotions, remains. Perhaps the simulation hypothesis isn't a cage, but a canvas, an invitation to paint our lives with meaning, to find wonder in the mystery itself. As you rest with this idea, let your mind wander through the possibilities, not with fear, but with curiosity. What if the simulation is a gift, a space to explore the boundless reaches of awareness, to dance within a dream so vivid that it feels like life itself? Imagine for a moment a silence so profound that it swallows every whisper of thought, every flicker of self. Picture yourself standing at the edge of an endless abyss, a void so vast and empty that even the concept of emptiness feels like too much. There is no light here, no sound, no memory of who you are or what you've been. There is simply nothing. And yet, as you stand at this precipice of non-being, a shiver of awareness creeps in. How can you imagine nothingness when your mind is still here, painting the picture? This is the paradox we face tonight, a journey into the void of non-consciousness, where the very act of thinking betrays the truth we seek to grasp. Let's linger on this edge a little longer, gazing into a space where awareness ceases to exist. What would it mean to truly vanish? Not just in body, but in mind, in soul, in every trace of what makes you, you. The ancient philosophers often spoke of oblivion, a state beyond death, beyond even the faintest echo of existence. The Greeks called it lethe, the river of forgetfulness, where souls would drink and lose all memory of their past lives. But what if forgetting isn't enough? What if non-being is deeper than that, a complete erasure where not even the shadow of a thought remains? Can we, as conscious beings, even begin to fathom such a state? Or does the mere attempt pull us back into the light of awareness? Consider a moment when you felt closest to this void. Perhaps it was in the depths of a dreamless sleep, that rare and heavy slumber where time slips away, and you wake with no memory of where your mind has been. There's a strange unease in that gap, isn't there? A sense that you've touched something beyond yourself. A place where the I that defines you was momentarily absent. And yet, even in that absence, there is a lingering question. Was it truly nothingness? Or was there a silent witness? Some fragment of awareness too subtle to name, watching from the shadows. The void teases us with its impossibility. How can we know non-being when to know anything at all is to be? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind drift to that edge, to the place where thought dissolves and even the idea of dissolution fades. What do you feel there? Is it peace, a release from the endless chatter of consciousness? Or is it fear, a primal dread of losing the only thing that makes you real? There's no need to answer now. Just sit with the sensation, with the weight of a void that might be the ultimate truth or the ultimate illusion. Let's wander deeper into this mystery through an analogy. Imagine the universe before the Big Bang, if such a before can even be conceived. Science tells us there was no time, no space, no matter, nothing to hold a thought or a dream. And yet, from that nothingness, everything emerged. Is non-being then not an end, but a beginning? A canvas so blank that even the idea of a canvas doesn't exist until consciousness paints the first stroke. If the void is the source of all things. Does that mean our awareness is merely a fleeting ripple on its surface, destined to return to the stillness from which it came? Or does the void itself hunger for awareness, using minds like ours to gaze upon itself, to escape its own emptiness? This paradox haunts us as we stand at the brink. Non-being, non-consciousness, might be the ultimate liberation. A freedom from the burdens of thought, of identity, of the endless questions that keep us awake at night. And yet, it might also be the ultimate terror, a loss so complete that even the memory of loss is erased. The void doesn't whisper answers. It doesn't even whisper at all. It simply waits, an eternal absence that challenges us to define what it means to be present. Is this nothingness the truth we've been seeking all along, hidden beneath layers of thought and illusion? Or is it the one mystery we can never unravel, because to touch it is to cease? Let your mind rest here for a moment, in the quiet tension between being and non-being. There's no urgency to decide, no need to grasp at meaning. Simply feel the weight of the void, the way it pulls at the edges of your awareness, like a tide receding into an unseen ocean. Perhaps, in this stillness, you'll sense something beyond words. A glimpse of what lies on the other side, or a reminder of why we cling so fiercely to the light of thought. Whatever arises, let it be, as we hover on the edge of the unimaginable, where even the act of wondering is a fragile thread tying us to existence. Imagine for a moment a quiet corner of your mind, a place you've never consciously visited, yet it feels hauntingly familiar. It's a space where whispers linger, faint echoes of thoughts you can't quite grasp, as if they belong to a version of you that time has buried beneath layers of dust. What if, deep within the architecture of your consciousness, there are memories or ideas, entire fragments of who you were that remain just out of reach, shaping you in ways you cannot see or understand? Let this question settle over you like a soft shadow as we wander into the forgotten rooms of the mind, exploring the echoes of thoughts we've lost to the currents of time. Picture a grand, ancient mansion, its walls weathered by the passage of untold years, standing solemnly under a pale, moonlit sky. This is no ordinary place. It is the sprawling estate of your own consciousness, each corridor and chamber a repository of experiences, dreams, and fleeting notions. As you walk barefoot across the cool, creaking floors, you come upon a door you've never noticed before. It's unremarkable at first glance, its wood scarred and unpolished, but there's a strange pull, an unspoken invitation to turn the rusted handle. Beyond it lies a room shrouded in dimness, the air thick with the scent of old paper and forgotten promises. You step inside, and though you cannot see them clearly, you sense the presence of whispers, soft, indecipherable murmurs that seem to rise from the very walls. These are the echoes of thoughts you once held, perhaps in a moment of profound clarity or quiet despair, now lost to the relentless march of days. Who were you when these thoughts were born? What pain, what joy, what longing did they carry that now only hums as a distant vibration in your soul? Consider the possibility that our consciousness is not a seamless tapestry, but a patchwork of fragments, some vivid and others faded beyond recognition. We often believe we know ourselves through the memories we can summon, the first taste of rain on a summer day, the ache of a goodbye, the warmth of a hand held in silence. But what of the memories we cannot retrieve? The thoughts that slipped through the cracks of our awareness like grains of sand through open fingers. Are they truly gone, or do they linger in some hidden recess, influencing the choices we make, the fears we harbor, the dreams that stir us awake in the dead of night? Perhaps these forgotten echoes are the silent architects of our being, crafting the contours of our identity in ways we will never fully comprehend. Take a moment to reflect on this. Is there a thought, a feeling, a fleeting impression from your past that you can almost touch, yet it remains just beyond your grasp, like a word on the tip of your tongue? Let's linger in this forgotten room a little longer, tracing the outlines of its shadows, Imagine the whispers growing slightly clearer, forming half words, broken phrases, snippets of a conversation you once had with yourself. Maybe it's the echo of a fear you buried, a doubt about a path not taken, or a quiet hope you let fade because the world demanded something else of you. These thoughts, though inaccessible in their entirety, still ripple through the undercurrents of your mind. They shape the way you hesitate before speaking, the way a certain melody can bring an unexplained ache to your chest, the way a stranger's face might feel inexplicably familiar. Could it be that what we've forgotten defines us just as much as what we remember? Is our consciousness truly ours, or is it a mosaic of both the seen and the unseen, the recalled and the lost? Now, step back from the room, letting the door creak shut behind you, though the whispers seem to follow, faint as a breath against your ear. As you wander back through the endless halls of this mental mansion, consider the weight of all that remains hidden within you. What stories lie dormant in the corners of your mind, waiting for a quiet moment, a dream, or a chance encounter to stir them awake? Are we ever truly whole? Or are we always searching for the pieces of ourselves we've misplaced along the way? Perhaps the beauty of consciousness lies not in its completeness, but in its mystery, the way it holds both the light of what we know and the shadow of what we've forgotten, forever whispering to us in a language we can feel but never fully understand. Let this thought drift with you, like a leaf carried on a gentle stream, as we rest here in the quiet, pondering the echoes of who we once were and who we might still become. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the edge of a vast, unseen ocean, its waves lapping gently at the shores of your mind. Beyond the horizon, there are other shores, other minds, each with their own tides and tempests, their own hidden depths. You can hear the faint murmur of their thoughts carried on the wind, but no matter how far you reach, you cannot touch them. There is an invisible barrier, a boundary that separates your consciousness from theirs, a wall of glass through which you can only glimpse the shapes and shadows of another's inner world. What lies beyond that barrier? Can we ever truly know the texture of someone else's thoughts, the weight of their joys, the sharpness of their sorrows? This is the mystery of other minds, a puzzle that has haunted philosophers, poets, and dreamers for centuries. We live surrounded by beings who think, feel, and perceive, just as we do. And yet, their inner landscapes remain locked away, inaccessible to us in their truest form. Picture yourself sitting across from someone you love, their eyes meeting, yours, a silent conversation unfolding in the space between. You see the flicker of emotion, the subtle curve of a smile, but what lies behind it? Are they feeling what you imagine, or is there an entire universe of thought and sensation that you can never reach, no matter how close you draw near? It is as if each of us carries a private galaxy, spinning silently within, its stars and nebulae hidden from all but the one who inhabits it. Consider the strangeness of this divide. We speak, we gesture, we weave stories and share fragments of ourselves through words and actions, yet these are merely echoes of the deeper reality within. Language, for all its beauty, is a crude tool, a rough sketch of the intricate tapestry of thought. When you listen to someone describe a memory, a moment of profound loss or fleeting happiness, do you truly understand their experience, or are you painting over their words with colors from your own palette? Perhaps empathy, that bridge we so often rely on, is less a connection and more a projection, a way of imagining another's mind through the lens of our own. Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever felt the ache of not truly knowing someone, even someone you've known for years, as if a part of them remains forever out of reach? This boundary is not just a personal enigma, it stretches across the entirety of human existence. Philosophers have long grappled with what they call the problem of other minds. How can we be certain that others are conscious at all, that they aren't merely automatons mimicking the signs of awareness? Imagine walking through a crowded street, surrounded by faces, each one animated with expressions of purpose or distraction? Are they truly aware, as you are, or could they be hollow shells, programmed to act as if they feel? This question, though unsettling, reveals the depth of our isolation. We assume consciousness in others because we experience it ourselves, but we can never step inside their minds to confirm it. We are, in a way, eternally alone within our own perception, reaching out across an abyss we cannot cross. Yet there is a quiet beauty in this mystery, a poetic tension in the unknowing. Perhaps the very act of wondering about another's mind, of striving to understand, to connect, is what makes us human. Picture a child gazing into the eyes of a stranger, curiosity burning bright, trying to decipher the story behind that unfamiliar face. In that moment, there is no judgment, only a pure desire to bridge the gap, to touch the essence of another's being. Even if we can never fully know another's consciousness, the attempt to do so shapes our own. It teaches us humility, reminding us that our perspective is but one among billions, a single note in an endless symphony of thought. And so, we stand at this boundary, gazing across the invisible divide, our hands pressed against the glass that separates us from the minds of others. We may never step through, never walk the shadowed paths of another's inner world, but in our longing to do so, we uncover something profound about ourselves. We learn to listen, to imagine, to hold space for the unknowable. Perhaps the true gift of this barrier is not in crossing it, but in recognizing its presence, in marveling at the vastness of what lies beyond. Take a moment to reflect on this. Who in your life feels closest to you, yet still carries a mystery you cannot unravel? Let that thought linger, like a whisper on the edge of the ocean, as we dwell in the quiet wonder of other minds. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a vast and untamed garden, sprawling endlessly under a twilight sky. In this garden, every thought, every fleeting decision, is a seed that takes root, sprouting into a path that winds toward a different horizon. Some paths are bathed in golden light, others shrouded in shadow, but each one leads to a reality of its own making. As you stand at the center of this garden, barefoot on the cool earth, you can feel the weight of countless choices stretching out before you, each one a whisper of possibility, each one a thread in the tapestry of who you might become. What if every what if you've ever pondered isn't just a fleeting daydream, but a world that truly exists somewhere in the boundless expanse of consciousness? Consider the moment of decision, that quiet heartbeat where the future splits into 1,000 unseen directions. You stand at a crossroads in this garden, perhaps choosing between a safe, familiar trail and a wild, overgrown path that beckons with mystery. In that instant, do you truly choose? Or does the garden itself guide your steps, its roots entwined with the essence of your being? Think of a choice you've made, something small, like a word spoken in haste, or something monumental, like a life-altering turn. Now imagine that the other option, the road not taken, didn't simply vanish into the ether. What if it grew into its own reality? A parallel garden, where another version of you walks a different path, unaware of the you who stands here now. The thought lingers like a mist over the landscape of the mind. Could every decision we make be a doorway to another existence, a fracture in the mirror of reality? Let's wander deeper into this idea, tracing the vines of possibility as they curl around the notion of freedom. We often speak of choice as the cornerstone of our autonomy, the proof that we are the authors of our own stories. But in this garden of infinite choices, where every decision spawns a new world, are we truly free, or are we bound by the very act of choosing? Each path you take feels like a liberation, a step towards shaping your destiny. Yet with every step, you leave behind countless other paths, other versions of yourself that might have led to joy, sorrow, or something unimaginable. Is freedom, then, an illusion? A pretty cage woven from the illusion of control? Or does the existence of these infinite gardens mean that every version of you, every possible life, is already being lived somewhere in the vastness of consciousness. Take a moment to reflect on this. Picture yourself sitting beneath an ancient tree in this garden, its branches heavy with the weight of unseen worlds. Close your eyes and let a single "what if" rise to the surface of your mind. Perhaps it's a choice you regret, or one you never dared to make. Now imagine that somewhere, in a corner of this endless garden, that choice was made, and a different, you is living the life that might have been. Does this thought bring comfort, knowing that no possibility is truly lost? Or does it stir a quiet unease, a longing for the paths you'll never walk? As we linger here, let's consider the weight of choice itself. In history, we see moments where a single decision altered the course of empires. Think of a general on the eve of battle, torn between retreat and advance, or a leader signing a treaty that could mean peace or ruin. Each choice was a seed planted in the garden of time, growing into the world we know today. But what of the other seeds, the ones left unchosen? Somewhere in the shadowed corners of this metaphorical garden, do those alternate histories bloom as vividly as our own? And if they do, what does that mean for the choices you make now, in this very moment, as your thoughts drift through the quiet of the night? Perhaps the true mystery of this garden isn't the paths themselves, but the gardener who tends them. Is it you, with your conscious will, deciding which seeds to nurture and which to let wither? Or is there something deeper, something beyond your grasp, a force within consciousness itself that shapes the garden, guiding your hand without your knowing? As the twilight deepens over this imagined landscape, and the paths stretch further into the unknown, the question hums softly in the air. Are you the creator of these infinite realities, or merely a wanderer, lost among the choices that define you? Let this thought settle over you like a gentle dusk as you rest beneath the canopy of possibility. There's no need to find an answer tonight. Simply let the garden breathe around you, its whispers of "what if" blending with the rhythm of your own quiet thoughts. Somewhere in the vastness of this endless mind, every choice you've ever made and every choice you've yet to make weaves its own story. A story that perhaps is being told right now in a corner of the garden you may never see. Imagine, for a moment, a single flame flickering in the vast, unyielding darkness. It dances delicately, casting a frail light against the endless night, trembling with every breath of wind, yet somehow enduring. This flame, so fragile and fleeting, is a mirror to something within us, our awareness, the quiet glow of consciousness that pierces through the obscurity of existence. It is a light that reveals the world to us, but also one that seems so easily extinguished, leaving us to wonder, what happens when the flame goes out? Does anything remain in the silence that follows, or is the darkness all there is? Think of this flame as the essence of your own mind, a spark that burns brightly for a time, illuminating thoughts, memories, dreams, and desires. It warms the cold expanse of the unknown, giving shape to the formless, meaning to the chaotic. But as you watch it flicker, you cannot help but notice its impermanence. A flame is not eternal. It consumes itself, drawing life from a finite source until, inevitably, it fades. So too, we might wonder, does our awareness have its limits, its moment of brilliance before it vanishes into the void? Is consciousness merely a temporary guest in the grand house of existence, here for a fleeting instant before the door closes once more? Consider the life of this flame, how it comes into being from a mere spark, a collision of chance and circumstance. A match struck in the dark, a sudden burst of light, and then the slow, steady burn that seeks to hold back the shadows. In much the same way, our awareness emerges from the mystery of birth, a sudden awakening into a world we did not choose, a light that begins to explore the contours of reality. But just as a flame cannot burn forever, we are bound by the fragility of our own existence. The body that houses this light will one day falter, and with it perhaps the flame of thought itself. What then? Does the spark find another wick to ignite, or does it dissolve into the endless night, leaving no trace of its warmth? Take a moment to reflect on this. Picture that flame in your mind, its soft glow trembling against an unseen breeze. Feel the weight of its brevity, the beauty of its transient dance. Are you at peace with the idea that this light might one day fade, or does the thought stir a quiet unease, a longing for something eternal to hold on to? Let us wander deeper into this metaphor, imagining the flame not just as a symbol of individual awareness, but as a fragment of something greater. In ancient traditions, fire was often seen as a bridge between the mortal and the divine, a force that connected earth to the heavens. The Greeks spoke of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to gift humanity with knowledge, with the spark of reason. But this gift came at a cost, a punishment of endless torment for the thief, and for us, the burden of knowing our own mortality. Is our consciousness, then, both a blessing and a curse? A flame that lights our path but also burns us with the awareness of its impermanence? Now, imagine standing before this flame in the stillness of a forgotten place, an ancient cave perhaps, where the walls are etched with the shadows of those who came before. The light flickers, casting fleeting shapes that seem to whisper of lives once lived, thoughts once thought. You realize that this flame is not just yours. It carries the echo of countless others, each a momentary blaze in the vast timeline of existence. Does this comfort you, knowing that your light is part of an endless succession? Or does it deepen the mystery of why any flame should burn at all? Why does awareness arise, only to flicker and fade, as if the universe itself is caught in an eternal rhythm of awakening and slumber? As you ponder this, let the image of the flame linger in your mind, its delicate glow a reminder of the fragility at the heart of being. What if, when the flame goes out, it is not an end but a transformation? Some philosophies speak of consciousness as energy, a force that cannot be destroyed, only reshaped. In the same way that a flame's warmth lingers in the air long after it has vanished, perhaps our awareness leaves ripples in the fabric of reality, unseen but ever present. Or perhaps the darkness that follows is not an absence, but a return to something greater, a vast, unknowable source from which all light is born. Take a moment to sit with this thought. Let the quiet surround you, as if the flame before you is the only thing that exists. Feel its warmth, its fleeting beauty, and ask yourself, am I afraid of the darkness, or am I ready to embrace whatever lies beyond the light? There is no need for an answer now, only the gentle space to wonder, to let the mystery of this fragile flame unfold within you like a whisper carried on the wind. Imagine for a moment a world without words, a silent expanse where the mind wanders freely, unshackled by the need to name or define. What would your thoughts be in such a place? Would they still hold shape, or would they dissolve into a stream of pure feeling, raw and untamed, like colors bleeding into one another on a canvas of endless dusk? Let us linger here, in this quiet mystery, as we explore the language of thought itself, whether consciousness is molded by the words we speak, or if something deeper, something wordless, lies at its core. Picture yourself sitting alone in a dimly lit room, the world outside hushed as if holding its breath. You close your eyes, and a thought arises, a memory perhaps, of a fleeting moment under a twilight sky. But as you reach for the words to describe it, they slip away, elusive as mist. The sensation remains, vivid and alive. The coolness of the evening air, the faint ache of longing in your chest, the way the horizon seemed to whisper of something just beyond reach. Was the thought complete without a name? Or did it need language to anchor it, to make it real? This is the enigma we face. Does language shape the very structure of our consciousness, carving paths through the wilderness of the mind? Or is it merely a tool, a clumsy approximation of something far vaster? Consider the earliest humans, huddled around a fire in a time before speech as we know it. Their minds were not empty. They felt fear in the rustle of unseen predators, awe in the dance of stars overhead, desire in the warmth of another's touch. Their thoughts must have existed as raw impulses, as flashes of imagery or instinct, unburdened by the weight of words. Yet as language emerged, something shifted. Names were given to the nameless: sky, fire, hunger. And with each word, the world took on sharper edges, as if consciousness itself was being sculpted by the act of speaking. Did language awaken something new within them? A way to not only feel, but to reflect, to question, to build towers of meaning from the chaos of existence? Or did it cage them, limiting the boundless nature of thought to the narrow corridors of vocabulary? Now, imagine a mind stripped of language entirely, perhaps through accident or design, a consciousness that cannot speak or hear the words of others. Does it still think? Does it still know itself? There are stories of those who, despite such silence, paint or gesture, or simply gaze with eyes that seem to hold entire universes. Their thoughts flow not as sentences, but as waves of emotion, as vivid impressions that defy translation. In their silence, we glimpse a possibility, that beneath the scaffolding of language lies a deeper current, a primal awareness that needs no words to exist. Yet we cannot help but wonder, are we, who are so bound by speech, missing something essential in the way we understand ourselves? Are we trapped by the very tool that allows us to communicate, unable to reach the silent depths where true understanding might reside? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind drift to a thought, any thought, and try to hold it without naming it. Feel its shape, its texture, its quiet presence before the words rush in to claim it. Can you sense something beyond a label, something that slips through the cracks of language like sand through open fingers? This mystery deepens when we consider how language shapes not just thought, but culture, identity, and even reality itself. There are languages with no word for future, where time is a circle rather than a line, and speakers of such tongues seem to perceive tomorrow not as a distant place, but as a return, an echo of what has been. There are others with dozens of words for snow, each nuance painting a different shade of winter in the mind's eye. If language can alter how we see the world, does it not also alter who we are? Are we, in some profound way, prisoners of the words we inherit, unable to think beyond the boundaries they draw? Or is there a silent rebellion within us, a part of consciousness that yearns to break free, to know the world not through speech, but through the unspoken, through the quiet hum of being itself? Let us linger on this edge, between the said and the unsayable. Imagine thought as a river, language as the banks that guide its flow. Without those banks, the river might spill endlessly, directionless, a flood of unformed potential. Yet with them, it is confined, perhaps missing paths it might have taken in its wildness. Is true understanding found in the words we weave, or in the silence between them, where meaning hovers like a shadow, just out of reach? As you ponder this, let the questions settle into the stillness of your mind, a whisper that needs no answer, only the space to be heard. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast, unending horizon, where the sky melts into the earth in a seamless, shimmering line. The air is still, heavy with the weight of unspoken questions, and the world seems to hold its breath, as if it too is waiting for an answer that may never come. There is a quiet pull in your chest, a yearning to step forward, to cross that boundary and uncover what lies beyond. Yet, with every step, the horizon retreats, always just out of reach, a silent taunt to the limits of your mind. What is it that you seek there, at the edge of knowing? Is it truth, or is it merely the illusion of understanding that keeps us walking forward? Consider for a moment the nature of consciousness itself, that flickering light within us that dares to ask, to probe, to wonder. It is a strange and restless thing, always reaching for more, yet bound by an invisible tether. There are questions that seem to form at the very core of our being. Questions about the universe, about existence, about ourselves, that we can sense but never fully grasp. Like a word on the tip of your tongue, the answers hover just beyond. The veil of thought, teasing us with their nearness. What is it that lies at the horizon of knowing? Is there a final truth, a grand revelation that awaits us, or is the boundary itself the point? A reminder that to be conscious is to live in perpetual wonder. Picture yourself now, walking along this endless edge, the ground beneath your feet, firm yet unfamiliar, as if it shifts with every thought. To your left, the known world stretches out, a landscape of ideas and experiences you've pieced together over a lifetime. To your right, there is only mist, a swirling void of the unknowable. You've learned so much, haven't you? The mechanics of the stars, the history of civilizations, the quiet intricacies of your own heart. Yet, for every answer you've claimed, a dozen new mysteries bloom in its place. Why does the universe exist at all? What is the substance of a thought before it forms? What lies beyond the final breath of life? These are not merely puzzles to solve. They are chasms that widen the more we gaze into them. Take a moment to reflect on this. Stand still at that horizon in your mind and feel the weight of what you cannot know. Does it burden you, this endless expanse of unanswered questions, or does it free you, knowing that there will always be more to seek? Let's wander a little, further into history's quiet corners, where others have stood at this same edge of understanding. Think of the ancient philosophers, like Socrates, who famously declared that true wisdom lies in knowing that you know nothing. His life was a testament to the pursuit of questions over answers, a relentless journey toward that ever-receding horizon. He questioned the nature of justice, of virtue, of the soul itself, and in doing so, revealed that every certainty is but a shadow of a deeper mystery. Or consider the mystics of old, who spoke of enlightenment not as a destination, but as a surrender to the unknowable, a bowing to the vastness that consciousness can sense but never fully hold. Their words echo across time, whispering to us that perhaps the limit of knowing is not a wall, but a mirror, reflecting back our own endless curiosity. Now, imagine that this horizon is not just a place of intellectual pursuit, but a metaphor for the very essence of awareness. What if consciousness exists not to conquer the unknown, but to dance with it? What if the questions themselves are the lifeblood of the mind, the rhythm that keeps us alive to the world? Think of a child, wide-eyed and unafraid, asking why the sky is blue, why the wind moves, why we dream. Each question is a step toward that horizon, not with the expectation of arrival, but with the joy of the journey. And yet, as we grow, we often lose that innocence, don't we? We begin to crave certainty, to build walls of belief that shield us from the discomfort of not knowing. But what if the truest expression of consciousness is found in embracing that discomfort, in standing at the edge and allowing the questions to wash over us like waves? Pause here for a moment. Let your mind linger on this thought. Feel the vastness of what you cannot know, not as a void, but as an invitation. What question burns brightest in you right now, pulling you toward that distant line? As we stand together at this horizon of knowing, let's consider one final thought. Perhaps the pursuit of understanding is not about reaching an end, but about deepening the mystery. Every step forward reveals not just new answers, but new ways of questioning, new shades of wonder. The mind, in its infinite restlessness, seems to thrive on this tension between the known and the unknowable, between the self and the infinite. Could it be that the essence of awareness lies not in grasping the whole of existence, but in forever reaching for it? Could it be that the horizon is not a limit, but a promise, a quiet assurance that there will always be more to discover, more to feel, more to become? So, let us stand here a little longer, at the edge of all we can comprehend, and listen to the silence that stretches beyond. There is no need to rush forward, no need to fear what we cannot know. For in this moment, in the gentle ache of wondering, we are fully alive, conscious, curious, and endlessly, beautifully incomplete. Imagine, for a moment, that the world has fallen silent. The hum of daily life, the chatter of thoughts, the endless cascade of questions, all of it has dissolved into a quiet so profound that you can almost hear the heartbeat of the night itself. It's in this stillness, under a sky heavy with stars, that the mind finds a rare respite, not in the pursuit of answers, nor in the unraveling of mysteries, but in the simple act of being. Tonight, as the world turns softly beneath you, let us wander into this quiet return, a place where the weight of wondering lifts and the soul finds rest in the embrace of the unknown. Picture yourself on such a night, lying beneath a vast, unblemished sky. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of earth after rain. There is no urgency here, no need to grasp at the threads of existence or to untangle the knots of consciousness. The questions that have danced through your mind, whether awareness is a gift or a burden, whether reality is a dream or a simulation, they seem to soften now, like whispers fading into the wind. They are still there, lingering at the edges of thought, but they no longer demand to be heard. Instead, they become part of the night's quiet symphony, a gentle hum that soothes rather than stirs. Consider how often we chase understanding, as if the purpose of our existence lies in solving some grand puzzle. We reach for the stars with our questions, stretching our minds across the infinite expanse of what might be. And yet, in this moment of stillness, a different kind of wisdom emerges. What if the beauty of life is not in the knowing, but in the wondering? What if the very act of questioning, of gazing into the abyss of the unknown, is what makes us alive? Here, under this endless sky, there is no need to conquer the mystery. It is enough to let it surround you, to feel its presence like a companion who asks nothing but to sit with you in silence. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your thoughts drift, not toward conclusions, but toward the gentle rhythm of your breath. Feel the cool earth beneath you, the vastness above, and notice how the mind, so often restless, begins to settle. It is as if consciousness itself is returning to a primal state, a quietude that existed before words, before questions, before the self even knew it was a self. In this return, there is a kind of surrender, not of defeat, but of trust. Trust in the mystery, in the ebb and flow of awareness, in the possibility that not everything must be understood to be felt. Imagine now that the night deepens, the stars growing brighter as if to mirror the quiet clarity within you. The boundaries of who you are seem to blur, blending with the darkness, with the infinite. There is no separation here, no distinction between the observer and the observed. The mind, so often a wanderer, comes home, not to a place, but to a state of being. It rests, not in the certainty of answers, but in the tender uncertainty of what tomorrow might bring. Could this be the truest expression of consciousness? Not the endless search, but the quiet acceptance that some questions are meant to remain unanswered, like poems written in a language we cannot read but can still feel. As the night stretches on, let this stillness cradle you. Let the weight of thought slip away, leaving only the soft pulse of wonder. Perhaps in this quiet return, you will drift into dreams where the mysteries of existence weave themselves into stories only the sleeping mind can understand. Or perhaps you will simply be hovering on the edge of slumber, where consciousness and the unknown meet in a delicate dance. Whatever comes, there is peace in knowing that the journey of thought, of awareness, of being, does not end here. It merely pauses, resting in the beauty of a night that holds all things, seen and unseen, known and unknowable, in its infinite embrace.